Hello, hello. I am Peace Love Music, and we're here today with the DeOrganized show. We have some awesome guests here today. I've got Noam is the marketing director at StackingDao, if I got that correct. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And for the title, and Dan from Boom Wallet, Dan Trevino from Boom Wallet. I'm so excited to have you guys here today, and my exceptional co-host Haddy here to help out with things. And really excited to get started. How is everybody today? Noam, how are you today?
Doing great. Super happy to be joining the show and share more about StackingDao.
Awesome. Yeah, I love what you guys are doing over there. And Dan, how are you? Thank you for making it today too. I know you guys are both very busy. How's things going with you, Dan?
Things are looking good.
Excellent. And Haddy, how are you? I haven't even chatted with you yet today. How are you doing today, man?
I'm very good. I'm very much looking forward to this chat today, to be honest. Always good to chat to Dan and really nice to meet new people. So I'm looking forward to this chat today.
Yeah, it's really interesting. This is really the first functional projects we have on the show that's got some real stuff going on. So very excited. I love what you guys are doing over at StackingDao. And why don't you give me just a little bit of a brief, you give me an overview from your end. What is StackingDao? Tell everybody, please.
Sure. So StackingDao is a liquid staking project. You can think it like Lido on Ethereum, but for stacks. So what does it mean is that, as you know, with stacks, you can lock your STX tokens, and thanks to the consensus mechanism, you receive BTC rewards. But the issue is that if you want to stake for yourself, you need a lot of capital. And even if you use a pool, then your tokens are locked for 2 weeks, so you cannot move them around. So what StackingDao did is that you can deposit STX on StackingDao and mint STSTX. And with STSTX, you can both earn the consensus reward mechanism, which right now is at around 10% APY. At the same time, you can use STSTX in DeFi. So you can also earn yield across DeFi. So we're integrated with Zest, PeaceLove, Velar, Hermetic, Arcadico. So right now, basically, you get to benefit from both the staking rewards, and at the same time, you can unlock your STX liquidity across stocks. And thanks to that, StackingDao right now is 90 million in TVL, like around a bit less of 6 million STX deposited. And our goal is to keep unlocking STX liquidity and to make sure that other DeFi projects can leverage STX to, let's say,
awesome. And just so, you're frozen up a little bit, but just to kind of make sure everyone understands, with stacks, you can stack stacks, you lock it in, and you earn Bitcoin yield in general for stacks. And StackingDao provides a liquid staking option for people to earn yield in stacks by depositing their stacks on StackingDao in exchange for, I don't know whether you guys pronounce it stacked stacks or staked stacks or exactly how or just ST stacks. But it basically gives people a way to earn the same yield, support the network by stacking their stacks, but also have access to use those funds in other DeFi platforms as well. Maybe compound that yield, and or they can trade the liquid stacks. Looks like we might have lost him for a minute. So while he's coming back in, Dan, Boom Wallet, I'm really interested to see give us a little bit of background on Boom Wallet, where you are with it right now.
Sure. Background, I'll go way back. Boom was originally launched with the Stacks network with Stacks blockchain. It was called Stacks 2.0 at the time. We were the first web wallet that was on Stacks. We were the first NFT platform that was on Stacks. We created the Boombox protocol, which allowed for similar to the liquid stacking. It was a way to stack your stacks and you get an NFT in response. We never took it to the next level, obviously, the way these guys have done. But people would basically get limited edition NFTs along with their stacking rewards. And yeah, so Boom went along for a couple of years, about a year and now almost a year and a quarter ago. I actually kind of quit working on Boom to go become a co-founder CTO at Deep Lake, which was a Bitcoin API and development tools startup. I did that for about a year, and after that, Boom was kind of my passion project. So I came back to Boom and was trying to understand like how Boom would fit into a Stacks ecosystem where there's already some very good wallets, right? But one of the things I had noticed over time was Lightning on Bitcoin is great for payments if you're okay with doing custodial, custodial wallets. And so with the Nakamoto and the SBTC releases on Stacks, I really felt like there was an opportunity to build a better Lightning than Lightning. We're not going to get the same transaction times as like the best Lightning transaction times, but I don't know if you guys have seen the testnet. The transaction times are pretty good, and right now, of course, the chain's not being really loaded up on testnet, but the transaction times are really great. And so I went around kind of reforming Boom into a payments wallet. And one of the things I had never liked was kind of the formats of the existing wallets where everybody just puts a balance and a send or receive button on there. So I wanted to do something more user-friendly. Along with the wallet, obviously, comes a standard for what payments look like so that you can pass payment information around easily. So what we're working on right now to kind of complete this vision is basically multiple tiers of standards and then tooling to bring out. The first level is kind of this cross-blockchain agnostic payment request specification, and follows very closely with the W3 specification for payment requests on the legacy internet, fiat tools. So they can specify, I take Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, whatever. We're trying to create a similar payment request specification for Web3 so that you can have multiple blockchains. And you can say, I accept like Helio if you want to select Solana's tokens, or you can say, I accept StacksPay. StacksPay is what we're calling the new Stacks specific standard. So the second layer would be
Boom's going to be cross-platform. Boom's going to be cross-platform.
No, not necessarily. We're focused on really expanding the Bitcoin economy, but part of that I feel like is putting standards in place that will allow like a broader economy to come up, so that if merchants later on decide, hey, I want to take Solana and I want to take Bitcoin, they have the opportunity to do that. We're not building out any of the Solana or Polkadot or any of those other pieces. We're focused on StacksPay, which is kind of the layer 2. It's the payment mechanism for Stacks that fits into that larger standard, right? And so we built out a URL specification that basically wraps all of the information required for a transaction, makes it easy to pass along as a QR code or as a link, and makes it easy to create these payment links that are easy to pass on to friends or whatever. So I can send you an invoice. Hey, PeaceLove, you owe me, 20 stacks, and I can send you an invoice for 20 stacks, and you can easily click on it and pay it, or click on and view the information, not pay it, whatever. So there's those two standards, and then obviously to enable people to use those things, Boom Wallet is like front end that we want users to come to. There will be others, I'm sure. And then the Boom Smart Shops is actually the decentralized merchant tooling piece that we're building on the back end as well.
Okay, so is that almost like a Shopify, a decentralized Shopify almost?
I mean, ideally, like lower your expectations from Shopify because
Sure.
we're at version 0. But yeah, the idea is here that we will have some smart contract standards that allow folks to stand up their own shop. And anybody can write their own smart contract, write up their own shop, and put payment links in it. Since we're building out the wallet and the standard, we're also providing an easy way to put those shops out there for people. So yeah, there's a custom back end or custom front end for people who don't want to go through the process of doing their own decentralized smart contracts, but it's fully possible.
Man, very interesting. So, but it's peer-to-peer and or business to consumer kind of thing where you can invoice from the wallet to somebody else. You have to invoice somebody else that has a Boom wallet as well, or can they actually? How does that work? Like you invoice me. What if I don't have Boom wallet?
So you can break down you can see the transaction details, and let's say you don't have Boom wallet yet. You can see the transaction details and go and put those in manually. This is an open standard.
It's still an invoice, so I can just copy the wallet address that I'm supposed to send the payment to.
Right, and the amount and all that stuff. It becomes a little bit more difficult if you're talking about like products. Like if I'm browsing shops and I see a sticker and I'm like, hey, PeaceLove, check out this sticker, you might want it. I could send you that link directly, right? But that becomes a little bit more difficult. But the StacksPay piece is an open standard. We are not going to be the only wallet that implements this. We're hoping to get uptake from the other wallets, and we hope that actually more wallets kind of join us in this ecosystem. Because if you look at like the Lightning ecosystem, they've got 10, 15 different wallets, right? And everybody picks and chooses based on whatever their preference is, and that's great. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of variety in the ecosystem, and that's what we want to foster by making StacksPay just an open standard. We're hoping that there will be other wallets that spring up and allow people to use those, and we're hoping that the existing, I'll call them legacy wallets on Stacks also adopt the standard eventually.
Yeah, and that's really so. StacksPay is a non-exclusive to Boom standard. It's
100% open.
It's an open protocol, but does it exist now, or is it still kind of being developed?
It exists. The documentation less so.
So it exists and it's functional, but it's hard to get people to incorporate it yet because there's not a lot of information telling them how to use it.
Right, and we're putting together documentation on what it is, how it works, and then with some simple code snippets that would allow you to here's how you would implement a simple invoice function in TypeScript, right? So that others can add it to their own wallets and stuff like that.
Could that functionality be added to apps also?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So StackingDao could potentially utilize that for how people maybe send and receive funds into their system, although they don't necessarily need that solution for what they're doing right now. But
yeah, that's one of the advantages of making it an open protocol and open standard is that there's going to be folks who come up with some completely new ideas that we hadn't thought of. We've got the existing Lightning network as kind of like a base, right? Like anything that you can do on Lightning, you can do on Stacks with Nakamoto and SBTC, and in a decent way with StacksPay, right? But we also have these superchargers on the back end with Clarity as the smart contracting language. You can get way more complex on what you do in the back. So Lightning
Right.
Network
That's-
provides like a great starter template, but we can go way beyond that, and I think people will over time.
Yeah, Stacks can do way more stuff than Lightning can, at least right now. Unless they build something else out on Lightning that has smart contract functionability. But yeah, man, that's really, really cool stuff. I love it. I think it's so. Are you waiting on Nakamoto? What's your? Do you have a timeline when you're actually going to be when Boom Wallet's going to be working? Like
Sure.
usable?
We're going to have the live wallet available when Nakamoto activation hits middle of September.
All right, nice. I heard it was launching August 28th. Was that? Well, that's when it's.
August 28th, it was always really tied to the Nakamoto activation, and I think that's what we had heard was August 28th initially. And so I'm saying now just like middle of September because that's when I've heard. I think I've seen a couple of people. I haven't honestly looked at details because I haven't really had time, but I've heard a couple of folks say that that's around when the activation blocks will be enabled. So we're looking at that timeline.
If I can interrupt you guys, like the activation is still going to be on the August 28th, but I think there's like one cycle for on designers to make sure that everything is going fine. And then all let's say the features like fast blocks, 100% beacon finality will go live. So this is why we have, let's say, beacon activation on August 28th, but let's say 1 or 2 cycles to make sure that everything is going smooth. So you're basically correct. Just wanted to.
Thank you, Noam. I appreciate that, man. And now that it sounds like your audio is a little more stable. Well, do me a favor and start over again. Tell me a little bit more about StackingDao. I know you have a total value locked was around. It looked like it was like 86 million this morning when I looked at it. You said around 90 million, and I lost you somewhere after that.
Yeah. So do you want me to repeat everything about StackingDao? Do you want me to start from somewhere specific?
You tell me whatever you feel like you need to tell us about StackingDao.
Okay. So maybe let's start from the beginning. Why StackingDao is here? So StackingDao, as I was saying, is a liquid staking project like Lido for Ethereum. And the reason it exists is that the consensus mechanism of stacks, the way it works, that we have Bitcoin miners bidding BTC to win stacks blocks, and people that have STX can stake it. So we don't like
I'm losing your audio again, man.
You're losing me again.
Yeah, you're kind of going like underwater a little bit.
Can you hear me right now?
Now I can.
Okay, so I will try to talk a bit slower to make sure that even if there's some lagging, it should be okay. But let me know if there's any more lagging.
Yeah, we'll give you a heads up, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. So as I was saying, this is like if you want to be a stacker or STX, or you have a lot of capital, or even if you participate in a community pool, or you can deposit even 10 STX, the issue is that your tokens, STX tokens, are locked for a cycle, which is 2 weeks. So basically, you earn BTC yield, but you can do nothing with your STX. So what StackingDao does is that you can deposit STX.
I'm losing you again. Oh, I'm not sure if he stopped or I just lost him entirely.
No.
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay. Like if the experience is too bad, maybe I'm gonna let Boom. I'm gonna let Dan speak a bit, and then I'm gonna try to optimize my connection. But
yeah, man. I'm not trying to. I mean, take your time. We can kind of go back and forth on some conversation. Actually, Haddy, while we're waiting for Noam to see if we can get his audio straightened out, do you have any questions for Dan?
Dan and I've spoken at length about lots of things from when I first joined Stacks. I think I harassed Dan a lot in the DMs once he allowed me to DM him. And then I've just been sending him lots of stuff. So I'm really, really glad to see how much Dan has progressed since I've joined the ecosystem. Super, super excited about the wallet. I cannot wait, especially stuff Dan's doing. I'm really looking forward to, and Dan set it out really well as well. I mean, Dan hasn't explained exactly how well he's done it, where he doesn't take on too much, and he literally does step by step. So I'm really looking forward to it. And the merchant side of it, I'm crazy excited about when the merchant side comes on and when we can actually interact with each other. And after Nakamoto upgrade, it's going to be amazing that we can interact with each other. And the commerce side that will bring to Stacks, and also and Bitcoin. So we'll be able to have Bitcoin, and we'll also be able to have Stacks in the beginning. Or Dan can explain it more, but I'm really looking forward to the aspect that we can interact with each other and the commerce comes to Stacks. And we have a wallet that does that because it's lacking in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
We did.
Go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, we did. Oh gosh, did we publish a little bit of a roadmap? I think we published a roadmap that actually talks about this. So what we're bringing to the initial version of the wallet, in addition to the payments, the peer-to-peer payments, is the social piece. And so you'll be able to like directly hit up each other immediately. So there's a social component to the wallet as well, like an in-app chat kind of thing. So if I choose to send an invoice to someone, it'll open up a direct message chat to that person, assuming they have a Boom account. If they don't, then you'll be able to like copy and paste the link, like I mentioned before. But yeah, like if you have a Boom wallet account or you've registered your username with Boom, we know where to look. We'll open up a DM chat and you can chat directly there. That's leveraging NOSTR on the back end. So if you're familiar with that Bitcoin technology, that's not a Bitcoin technology, but utilizes some of the same technologies for this decentralized chat mechanism. And it really is a super, actually, another kind of piece of infrastructure that's just completely undervalued. I think it's a huge piece of technology. But we'll be using that for chat, and that will be the initial piece. And we will follow up with kind of the merchant tools probably in Q4 of this year. So after we get the wallet launched and kind of make sure we shake it out a little bit more, we'll focus a little bit more on the merchant tools.
Very cool. So it incorporates NOSTR in the platform now, or in the wallet now, for communication, peer-to-peer communication.
Correct.
That's really cool. And is it?
Can I ask a question there?
Say that.
Oh, sorry. Can I ask a question at Dan? Will we be able on the NOSTR? Will it run the same as it currently runs on other platforms? So on like the Ostrich app and that, will you be able to send payments and receive payments?
So this is actually where we're yes and no. This has kind of been the biggest blocker. As some of you will be aware, there's some discussion about an upgrade to BNS coming. And so our initial thought was you get a BNS name, and if you have an existing NOSTR name, you can link those two. That's fine. We can keep that like in your profile, keep it private in your profile if you want, and then just read it. But we're also trying to onboard folks into having names who don't already have names. So for new folks who are coming into this cold, we want to make sure you get a name that's easily recognizable and also a NOSTR address. Tying those two things together has been a little bit of a headache. It's not hard, but it's difficult. And then throw in the BNS kind of confusion here lately, and that's made things a little bit more of a holdup, I should say. So, for instance, the BNS v2 specification does not include subdomain functionality currently. I've talked to Trust Machines about this. They're looking at use cases for it, so they've expressed an interest in understanding what the need is. But I'm not sure that we're going to have that subdomain functionality. And what that enables is us to, like, if I already own a name called like boom.btc, like I could assign names based on that boom.btc name. So I could give PeaceLoveMusic.boom.btc or Haddy.boom.btc. And you guys wouldn't need it because you probably already have BNS names, right? But other folks who are coming in new might need that name. So subdomains are a cheaper way to keep folks inside the app and not have them pay for a new name. Makes it super simple to onboard, right? And if we don't have that onboarding, we don't have that simple onboarding, it totally complicates how we bring people names. So that's been like the biggest blocker, I would say. And I don't know if you guys have also seen Marvin Jansen recently announced another proposal for BNS. I don't want to say V2, but another BNS proposal that actually includes the subdomain functionality. So that was super awesome. Like that's huge. And so how do we now manage 3 potential BNS names that need to be resolved, right? Folks are going to have a BNS V1 name. There's been talk about migrating everybody to the new BNS V2 contracts that Trust Machine has. But, and I think, is it 21.btc brought this up. What if Haddy changes his BNS V1 address and doesn't change his BNS V2 address? Now, where do I look, right? Like already we've got kind of a no single source of truth, right? And with Marvin's proposal, it includes the subdomains, which is something I want to use greatly. I think there's a huge unlock in those subdomains, and not just for our app, but for other apps who want to easily onboard folks and use naming. So
is
Marvin,
there a reason why they didn't include subdomains, or is it just an oversight?
I got the impression that it wasn't part of the initial specification, so there's a difference, I guess. And I don't want to speak for Trust Machines and their developers, but it looks to me from the outside like there was a specification and the guys wrote it to the specification, but it wasn't, the BNS subdomain functionality was not included in the specification. That's my understanding. Again, total outsider. I could be completely wrong.
Sure. You don't really know. But BNS V2, is that a SIP change, or is that just something that they're building at Trust Machines?
Well, it could be, and I think this is one of the difficulties. This is what I think we need to talk about as a community, in a BNS community, because if we don't have a single source of truth, how am I supposed to know where to send Stacks tokens? If you go back and change your BNS V1, let's say your BNS V1 expires and somebody else registers it, and I want to send something to PeaceLove Music BTC, but somebody else has changed the address to their own now because you've already moved on to BNS V2. I mean, maybe you hold on to both, maybe you don't. How the reality is, I can't make an assumption, right? I need like a single source of truth, or I need a way to find the single source of truth.
Right. Well, and it's also an end user issue. It's making it really hard to onboard people with these types of things if the user doesn't need to deal with this crap. This
exactly.
is supposed to be easy, and that's making things cumbersome and awkward. And well, I'm just going to go. There's a chain that does something better, that in this realm, I'm going to go use theirs.
It makes it cumbersome for users, and it makes it cumbersome for app developers. And so, this is something that I think we as a community need to rally around a single specification and put it as a SIP and use it. And just, be done with it. Again, I think all of these pieces work together. They're designed to work together. Nobody wants to, in a good way. All the 2 different post BNS V1 proposals are not trying to force users into an upgrade, right? Like Trust Machines is not trying to force people into their view of how things should work. Marvin is not trying to force people into his view of how things should work. But that means we don't have like a coherent single view, which with naming we need.
Yeah, there's no standard at that point, which is, I guess this is the greater decentralization problem, right? It's how do we create standards that are functional and usable that does everything that everybody wants to do. And then you have a player in the space that kind of just is like, well, I'm just going to create a new standard, but it's on top of it. It's not really incorporating the old functionality of the old standard. So it's I'm sure you guys will sort it out, but it definitely seems like a challenging problem to get things to work smoothly, which is what we all really want.
Yeah, so that's been the biggest holdup, to be honest with you, on the whole naming and social side, and that might be a complication. We'll figure something out, but it might be a little wonky at first. We'll see.
Yeah,
there's definitely a lot of players and different interests in it. Coming from the dgrants BNS side, I saw the different interests at play. And obviously, Trust Machines has also got orange domains, which is brought out locker.locker, which has subdomains, which also plays into a bit of the ecosystem.
They're very, again, from an outside perspective, the orange folks are very aware of the BNS stuff. And so I think it's a key part, obviously, of how they are planning to work with, or how they're tying Web 2 and Web 3 together. So they're definitely in those discussions as well. But we're going to figure something out.
The community definitely has to be rallied around it and brought, because I think that's where it is, and to bring the developers back, because a lot of the developers have lost interest, especially over the bear markets. They've all moved on, either moved to other chains, lost interest, and we really do need. And we obviously got zone files as well on BMS as well that need to be resolved as well, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, Hank from I think he's been working with Trust Machines. I don't know if he works for Trust Machines, but he actually commented on that post recently, and he's basically telling people just send your zone updates to multiple servers. So it's a workaround, but it's been working for him. So basically, you have to get the network, crawl. You have to look through each peer or each node's set of peers, and then crawl through those peers, and then pick 5 or 6 to send the zone update to, which is kind of a weird out of band kind of thing to do, but you could probably cache those and then send it. Try sending, and then just look for failures and keep trying the list of 150 nodes until you send it out to 5 or something like that. But yeah, so there's a workaround. Really wonky, but yeah, that's something that needs to be resolved. Along with that is no matter which host v1 standard is set to, we need the other pieces of that backend API, right? The resolution piece. So which names are resolved to this address? What's the primary name? Which address, what name does an address resolve to? So it's, it's both ways. And I know Trust Machines is working on that for their piece, but if the community rallies around what Marvin's proposed, then we still need to make some API updates too, to make sure that works for everyone.
So you're looking at launching basically when Nakamoto comes live. Right now, you're still collecting people for the wait list. When you launch, is it going to be I'm assuming it'll be a beta version based on people that have signed up for the wait list.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking at first. Obviously, we won't restrict it to that, but the people on the wait list will be the ones who hear about it first. And they'll be the ones that we, kind of focus on making sure that you guys can get up to speed early. We've already sent out like a first newsletter, which has gotten some good feedback. Trying to keep it light, but just to let people know, we've started collecting names back in April, I think. And it's been a couple of months, so we just kind of wanted to remind people that, hey, we're still alive, we're still building this thing, and we're still intended to launch.
And the website is boom.money, correct?
Right.
And because I know I went on, so that's where that's where people will be able to get the wallet once it's live as well.
That's right. So the technology we're using is a PWA, so which is actually what X is. We probably won't be in the app stores initially, so you'll just go to boom.money and download. We're in the process, I think, of at least specifying what the new landing page looks like with download links and things like that. But it's a PWA, so you'll be able to basically pull up the website. You should get an install button, and you can install it locally to your device.
Cool. Because you had very, very graciously given me access to the alpha test link, which was just like a web-based version that I was playing around with a few weeks ago when you were on our first spaces, the DeOrganized space, and that was really interesting. But obviously, it's not going to be just a web page you're going in to log in to access your app.
Well, I mean, effectively, that's what it is. It's a PWA. So if you pull it up on like a desktop, it's going to tell you, hey, go to your mobile phone and pull this up. But when
so
you
it's
pull
not
it up
actually it is downloading. So excuse my ignorance because I'm not the techie guy. What is a PWA? What does that mean?
PWA is a progressive web app, which just means it's been written with some certain standards, so it'll work offline. It's using web-based technologies, but it'll work offline. It can be updated over the web as just like a web page, and it's served over HTTPS. There's some other minor things in the standard.
So you don't necessarily need the app. You don't need to download an app. You might be able to actually just access it from a website too.
You access it from the website, and then you get the option to install or not install.
Yeah.
Okay, so similar to like how Discord works or Zoom works, you can actually access them through a web page, but you can also have an app.
Those have downloadable installers. So a PWA, this is actually a great question because I've never really thought about the difficulty in explaining it. It is literally a web app, but it's installable locally. So the different browsers act different in how they give you the option to install. But you basically pull up the thing on your device, and it should give you an option to install. If you don't see that, usually there's a thing in the app bar in the address bar that gives you the option to install. But most platforms just like allow me to send you a little pop-up that says install this, and then you can click that button, and then it'll install locally. And then from then on, you just go to your list of apps, and you click the button in your list of apps. But it is effectively a web page, a web app.
Okay, and thank you for that, because I like to know how things work and how things function, and I think that helps with what we're doing here.
That's a great question. I need to work on that, on how to respond to that, because we're gonna have other people ask that. I mean, and I chose the PWA because I prefer web standards over kind of a lock into some of the kind of app store oligarchs, I call them. I know that makes things 100% more discoverable, but you're then beholden to Apple or Google for what you publish, how you publish it. I don't know if Apple would say, now you need to give us 30% of all the payments that pass through, and like that's not going to happen, right?
Right.
Or Google might say you can't distribute this in some country or something. Then again, by keeping it web-based, standards-based, people will be able to install it from wherever.
That's a great explanation. I do understand that and it sounds like you actually had a well thought out reason for going that route to me. So very interesting stuff. So when the reason why we actually engaged and set this conversation up, and it's a little bit different now because it's just Boom Wallet. But you had come on my space, and Jamie F is working on his full control paper, and you guys have been talking about some stuff, and you brought him up in my space to chat about, he had talked about, or you and he had talked about possibly creating user tools on the wallet level that would give people the ability to set certain parameters to maybe safeguard some of their spending and or engagement habits. And yeah, it was just a really interesting concept that had come up there. And when I was talking with, I think it was actually Offmylawn and Zest, he was on a space with Stacksy. It occurred to me that, you know, one type of functionality in a situation like that, and I know that this is a little bit different because it requires two-way communication from the app and the wallet to a specific user or somehow, and if it's even possible. But so if you're on Zest and you're putting some Bitcoin down for equity, and you're borrowing against your Bitcoin, and you're getting close to your liquidation threshold, maybe there's some kind of way for the user to set it up where they get a notification when the price of Bitcoin goes to a certain level that affects their liquidation number, and automatically triggers a transaction to fund their wallet to a certain degree to keep their threshold up. Is that functionality realistic, or is that a long way away?
That's a long way away in the sense that it requires multiple layers of infrastructure to support. And if I can answer one question in the chat real quick, Trippin' Monkey asks, because it's already a wallet, doesn't need to run in the Xverse browser. That's correct. It's a standalone PWA application. It runs by itself. But to your question, PeaceLove, sorry for that aside.
No problem.
The stuff that Jamie's doing with his project is really cool, and we love the idea of creating like social a responsible spending kind of limits. And so yeah, one of the things we haven't talked about is creating these smart contract wallets. I think Ethereum calls them account abstractions. We're just calling them smart wallets, and they're basically smart contracts that hold your assets. And so the difference between what we can do easily with the smart contract wallet versus what you're describing is that with like the social responsibility tools, with the responsible spending tools, responsible gaming tools, we can go and say, hey, I'm only allowed from my wallet to spend a certain amount per week or per month or per day or whatever it is. Like there's certain, levels of spending that you can say. Or you can say, if I or anyone tries to withdraw, and I say anyone just because it's trying to keep it generic, but you're the only one that controls your wallet. But if I want to spend 1,000 stacks, I have to get approval from X, Y, and Z. So these are tools that you kind of set on yourself to limit to kind of take care of yourself, right? Maybe you know that you're too much of a DeFi gambler and you don't want to be dumping, I don't know, I'm just making stuff up here, but you don't want to spend 1,000 stacks a week or like 0.5 Bitcoin a week on some DeFi protocol, right? So DeFi protocol X exists out there. You can actually say, I'm not allowed from this wallet to send more than 0.5 Bitcoin per week to this contract or this service or whatever it is, right? So those are tools around like how you manage your own life. And those are the things that we can put into these smart contracts really easily. When you start talking about like getting notifications on Bitcoin price drops or Bitcoin price changes and how those affect your liquidity, you need inputs from like that smart contract that's managing your liquidity and whatever your investment is. And you need obviously the price changes. And so there's like multiple layers of multiple layers of infrastructure that have to happen in order to get that information to you so that you can get notified. And so there's a slight difference in how those things work. It's not that it's impossible. It's just that that's like a very, let me pick StackingDao. Like if I want to know that I got a deposit larger than 0.2 Bitcoin into my StackingDao account, I would have to go and say, okay, here's my account. I have to set up some service that says, here's my account, look for deposits greater than this, and then send me a notification. That's outside of what the individual wallet capability is, right? That's like a separate service. I would have to do that.
Yeah, all right. I got you.
Dan, could I ask a question on that? Sorry, PeaceLove, to interrupt.
No.
Could we leverage NOSTR to send the messaging? So could we not leverage NOSTR to push it out? So
yeah,
the person accepts it inside and then takes NOSTR. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
You still need the external oracle. How you get notified is like, I don't want to say the easy part, but I mean, it could be a push notification, it could be an email, it could be a NOSTR notification to your chat, but you still need that external oracle to understand what the parameters are that need to send a notification to you, because the wallet doesn't know price unless you tell it to go check the price, right? The wallet, and that's like a polling thing. It's like, okay, I pulled up my wallet, we're going to go check the current price for you, right? But if I'm only checking the price when you pull up the wallet, it might be 24 hours too late, right? Or 12 hours too late before some event happened. So you really need like an external oracle to define what the parameters are that you need to be notified by, and then send those notifications to you.
Okay, so this is a new service product for Boom Wallet or somebody else to create?
Right. Somebody else.
Okay, somebody else. Or it sits in StackingDao, but they actually have it in there. They have something there that triggers and uses NOSTR to push to your wallet.
Right.
Okay.
Trippin was just saying now he's going to need to get his wife to sign a multi-sig to be allowed to break his budget.
It's your choice.
Yeah, but I mean, really cool stuff developing, right? And at the end of the day, and one thing I'm working on personally with Jamie out of that conversation when you brought him up in my space is that he's helping me write some articles for Good Kitty Stacks Link project that are going to be used to, best practices for onboarding for new people coming into Stacks. Like, what is Stacks? What is a wallet? How do you use a wallet? What is just kind of going over the best practices, and he's going to help me out with that too. And that's the kind of stuff we need right now is just more content for new users to get educated. And if we do it through a trusted point of information like Good Kitty and her Stacks Link found, the extension of the D Grants project is really what it is. So it's tied to the Stacks Foundation to some degree. It has some weight. So it's a place where we can send new people that are new to the space to get some education from a reliable source that people are trusted, and then also make sure that they know about Boom Wallet or Leather or whoever that there are options out there, and maybe even provide some trust opportunities or some educational opportunities on how to use that stuff. But Jamie's definitely been really a good guy. I'm glad to get to know him, and we're working on some cool stuff too out of that conversation.
Yeah, I love the work that they're doing on the responsible gaming. I mean, to be honest with you, we had developed some options for like what we're calling rule sets in the smart contracts, in the smart wallets. And so we had thought about like, okay, I'm only allowed to spend 1,000 stacks a week or something like that, right? But I hadn't ever thought about it in the context of like social responsibility and responsible gaming. And so when you started telling me about this, like I was like, wow, there's like a whole other world of things that we can do with this wallet, with these smart wallets that I hadn't even really considered. And I love that. I love that we have the opportunity to partner with them to like make people aware of the responsible gaming. You know, we talked about this, you know, we're not going to be the exclusive holders of this. It's not a Boom thing. It's a, you know, we want to spread the message as far as possible. But I just love having the opportunity to be a part of like those discussions, those messages, and like what we can do with non-traditional wallets in the future, and the power of clarity.
Yeah, man, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. I've kind of gone through all of my questions for Boom. Anything else you want to share with us today, Dan? Anything new down the pipe that we haven't talked about yet?
No, I think I would say from the Boom perspective, I one of the things I always forget to talk about is like the breadth of applications. Like we've talked about peer-to-peer payments, we've talked about, you know, B2C payments and shopping and things like that. But like Resh just posted there in the chat, parents can control their kids' spending, you know, with these smart wallets. But it's literally everything that we can make literally everything simpler. Cross-border payments. I mean, just tons of functionality. Like I said, that's going to come with more powerful clarity contracts on the back end. So I'm really excited about the feature. I'm really excited about the standard. I need to do some work to get the documentation done. We're coming up on time to make sure that we get the wallet out to people, and that's really exciting. But yeah, I mean, go sign up for the newsletter.
As far as a parental control, is that a multi-sig feature?
It could be. We haven't developed this yet. This was just an idea. It's all a variation on the same type of thing, right? Where maybe you need to get a permission. So it could be as simple as somebody going and clicking a function. So the way the smart contracts work is if I call a function, my address is being sent as part of that, and so I could just say, okay, here's my parent addresses, and so if one of these two or one of these two allows this transaction, then the transaction is sent, right? And so it's literally just like, hey, Dad, can you go click the allow function, and they go and click a button and allow the transaction.
Hey, Dan.
Yep.
This is a perfect tool for DAOs.
Yep.
And for businesses. You can submit your invoice, you can submit your time and expense, you can submit things, goes through, and it comes straight back down. So it's perfect cost control mechanisms for Web3 businesses.
That's I hadn't really thought about that use case, but yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And again, we're not going to be the holder of all the rule sets. People can write their own rule sets. So like if somebody wants to create an HR, set of smart wallet kind of things, set of functionality, they could do that. One of the things we are doing with the shops that we will be deploying, or that users will be deploying if they choose to use our service, is that each shop is basically a smart wallet. So it's basically a place that holds assets already if you're selling digital goods, right? But you'll be able to set rule sets on how those assets are sold, bought and sold, how they're transferred, who can change prices on them, who can take the money or who can take the tokens and transfer them in or out, or who can change assets. So if there's a digital download, for instance, maybe you want Haddy to be able to update that digital download, but you don't want me to do it, right? So you can just set permissions so that Haddy has access to manage those assets, but I don't. But maybe I do have access to go in and set discounts, right? Maybe I'm the discount dude. I'm the sales dude or something.
So some access controls as well.
Right. Yeah, it's a simple way of saying access controls, but we're putting that into the context of the smart wallet for each shop.
So Dan, will you have an extra tool for people who want to build out these these smart features, or will you have to develop those outside and then pull them in? How would that work? Will it be easy enough for a noob to go in and toggle some switches to set it up as a simple form, and then advanced features for, which may be a subscription-based model for people later, for that commercial?
So what we're planning on initially is having it like a feature-based select. So if you want to set spending limits, per week, you would select the per week spending limit, put in an amount, and you also want a max spending requiring another signature. You would click that button, put in the amount, put in an address or a name. And so the deployment of the merchant tools should be as much click and enter as possible. When we get to like customized rules, we're not that far out, to be honest with you. Like, it's going to be enough for us to just get to the point where we can like simply deploy some contracts with some existing rule sets initially.
All good things in all good time, right?
I mean, we also need to see like what's being used. Part of it is like, what are people calling for? We don't want to overbuild. We don't want to build everything and then not have it being used, right? So we need to see where the demand is, maybe where we're lacking, or find out that maybe there's points of stuff that we already built that maybe nobody is using, right? So
yeah, it sounds. I mean, that's an efficient use of resources, right? If you
Right.
overbuild and it's something that you didn't need, now you don't have those resources available to build something people do want. So that makes sense. Smart way to build. It's an engineering way to build. And I do want to actually bring up, Rashid said something in the side chat here a little while ago, actually, and I just had missed it, but it was banking the unbanked and giving someone in a village in India the ability to sell a digital product. And that's actually, I think, speaks to what the ethos is here underlying the community, where there's some really awesome tech and some really smart people building some really cool things. But the reason behind what's being built is to build a better world for everybody. And it's tools and rails to be able to be more inclusive and get more people involved and franchise more people as far as their ability to just kind of maintain some of the wealth that they actually create themselves and keep some of that. And I think it's really, really great stuff. And I like the moral character behind it.
I think we came into this, quite honestly. I found Blockstack in 2016. The reason I stuck around with Blockstack at that time, I'm not sure, for those of you who weren't around blockchain at that time, that was right at the start of kind of ICO craziness. 2016, end of 2016, 2017 was ICO craziness. And I found the Blockstack team basically was engineering focused. They were heads down engineering, building cool stuff, not yelling about their value versus someone else or anything like that. And prior to that, I had always been kind of like open source focused. I was a Linux advocate, still am. So I'm like anti-Microsoft, Apple. I don't like their closed gardens. I shouldn't say anti-Microsoft, anti-Apple, but I prefer open systems. And so that's always been my ethos. That's when I came here, I found Blockstack because, I stuck around because they seem to be building stuff and not thinking about, we have to go out and complain about somebody else's blockchain or say we're better than this or we're better than that. We want to build good tools. We want to build them responsibly. And hopefully we, make a dent in the universe as big as Apple eventually.
Right on. And Apple's built some great products, but you're right, they're they're very exclusive. They're exclusive as far as I mean, I'll say it. They're anti-competitive. Microsoft is the most anti-competitive company in the world, practically, And so their model is closed, and it doesn't empower anybody but the gatekeepers. And so the world is responding by building an alternate way. And I really appreciate what you're doing with that, personally.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you. I don't know. I don't know if Nick's prepared to go a little. We've already kind of go. I know we were a little late to get started, but I don't know if Nick's prepared to go much later. We're a little bit past the hour here. We can go a little overtime, he's telling me. So one thing I do want to bring up while I have the audience's attention, and I can hear Hero Gamer in the background telling me to remind everybody to vote for SIP 27. SIP 27 vote is, and there's 1 day left. That's going to improve multi-sig functionality on Stacks. There's no reason to vote against it. Everyone should vote for it. You can go to stx.eco to vote. And we are trying to get more people involved in the SIP process in general. And also one way to do that is to start participating and coming into Heroes noon Eastern time on Friday SIP spaces, so we can get more people like me that aren't technical but are trying to understand what's going on in the space to participate in that, so we can make Stacks a more robust system. Also want to mention real quick, I got Zero Authority coming out on a special time. We're doing a special podcast tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Eastern, with Zero Authority down, and Electra Frost is going to come on. And I want to just thank you again, Dan. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Noam from StackingDao couldn't keep it on, and Offmylawn from Zest couldn't make it today. Had something come up. We'll try to get them on an episode soon. And I just want to say I've been super fortunate. All the people in this space have been super supportive of me and what I'm trying to do, and really given me an opportunity to engage. And just been like, even Dan, you didn't know me at all, and you took the time to come on my space and then talk to me in the DMs and just interact with me, and I really appreciate that. It's I'm finding this throughout the community. There's just tons of people, really smart, really productive people that are willing to talk to somebody that's relatively ignorant on the matter, and help me learn about it. And that's what we need more in the space, or more in general, not in the space, but in general in the crypto space, and even in the world. More collaborative efforts, more people trying to help educate each other and fill in the gaps where they can with the skill sets that they have. So thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate it. Any last words? Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I would say that I personally value people who give back to the community, and so this is people sometimes forget the Stacks community is pretty great. It is my offline family or my online family. I've been here for a while. I know so many people, but this is still an adversarial environment, right? Like nobody is really. I shouldn't say nobody's going to help you, but we have to remember that blockchain is an adversarial environment. My natural inclination is usually to distrust, but I value people who are giving back to the community and people who are trying to learn. And so, like, those are the kinds of things that when I see that, like, I definitely want to reach out and help those people. So, yeah, I mean.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. And that's actually what I'm trying to do here too. I'm really just trying to help platform people get more, just more information out there to spread what's being built, get more people involved, get more people engaged. And I think by having people like you that are building stuff, come on these podcasts, be a panel, and just talk about and just having these human conversations, right? Like this isn't an above people's heads conversation. It's a learning experience for people, and you're getting exposure for your product. StackingDao is getting some exposure. Zest gets some exposure. It's win-win-win. And
Absolutely.
Haddy, I want to again shout out Haddy because he's such a tremendous resource. He just kind of agreed to come on and help me out with this, and he's just there, super reliable, and also brings a great perspective himself. So Haddy, thank you very much. And man, is there anything else you wanted to say?
No, I just want to say, PeaceLove, thank you very much for setting up this pod. I think we're getting lots of interesting people on. Dan, as always, you're a legend, and I really can't get enough of your time. And I know you're a super busy man, so thank you for your time today. And I'm always here to help you. Tell me if I'm flooding your DMs too much.
Absolutely not. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you. And everyone who joined us on both X and also YouTube today, your questions have been mental and really good. Thank you very much for those. Resh, thank you very much for your questions. Trip for coming in and talking to us. And also Jamie.
Trip, Jamie, Rash, thank you guys so much. I second that as well. Anything else before we end the show? I think this was a good episode. Very good.
Resh will kill me if I don't say check out our, please go whatever, log on. What do you do? You subscribe to Twitter? I don't know. Follow us on Twitter at boom_wallet. And we have, like I said, we just sent out our first newsletter. So please go sign up if you haven't already. You can sign up at boom.money.
Boom.money, sign up for the whitelist, or not the wait list for waitlist for when Boom launches. And then so there is a newsletter when did that go out? Recently? Because I should get it. Just yesterday. I haven't had a chance probably to even look through it. I've been so busy.
We have a couple hundred people who did not confirm their addresses, so you might be on if you had signed up initially but didn't confirm your address.
I think I did. I'm pretty sure the first time I didn't, and then when we talked again after that, I did realize that I hadn't confirmed it, and I did it again. So I just probably haven't. I have a lot going on in my life. I have too many communications to follow myself. So especially back to back, I did the spaces yesterday, this show today. I got another show tomorrow. I almost did I almost did a little quick thing with Jack Binswitch this morning too. There's just been jumping on other people's spaces to help out. It's been a whirlwind, I'll tell you for sure. But I'm very interested in Boom_wallet. Follow them on Twitter. And check out that newsletter. I'm looking forward to it. If you haven't signed up for the wait list, that's boom.money. And I love these guys. I can't wait to see what their finished product does after Nakamoto. I'm definitely going to be playing around with it.
100%.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Haddy. Nick, we're good. Take us out.
Thanks, Nick.